Welcome. We are visiting the values of our Constitution. One of the basic provision of any constitution is the power to amend, the procedure to amend, the method to have changes in the constitution. This provision, the provision to amend the constitution, simply means and is recognition of the feature as that we as human beings have our limitations. We get conditioned by our own individual and collective circumstances. The wisdom of the time also conditions our projections and vision. So, constitution framed, drafted, adopted is certainly within the four corners of the vision of the members of the Constituent Assembly of the time. So, in future, what new values will come to confront us, or which new situations need be dealt with, are the factors which are at the base of such provision for amendment of the Constitution. The constitutions which are not in written form, like of UK, those function as per the customs and traditions values. How strong are the customs? How strong are unwritten acceptance of values is a factor and a feature which distinguish unwritten constitutions from the written constitutions. In India, we have a written constitution and we have a provision, specific provision, a full chapter, chapter 20, is titled Amendment of the Constitution. And it has one article, 368, power of Parliament to amend the Constitution and procedure thereof. This article in itself is a complete chapter, means it is a complete in itself, and it not only defines, demarcates, describes the powers to amend, but also the institution which is vested with this power and the procedure which is to be adopted by this institution to exercise these powers. In other words, the responsibilities to be discharged under this article are as per the procedure laid down here. Now, let us pose to ourselves that if we would have been, I would have been, you would have been a member of the Constituent Assembly, and when we will be participating, would have been participating in a debate about this very clause, this very article, then what thoughts, what projections would have been given by us, and how that debate would have progressed, and how we would have reacted and absorbed the different viewpoints, different projections coming from different members of the Constituent Assembly would have been absorbed by us, would have been appreciated by us, would have been evaluated by us, and would have been accepted by us. Once we will be putting ourselves within this mental frame, and when with this mental frame, we will be through these provisions, this definitely drafted text then certainly we will have more insight about it. Let me read. Notwithstanding anything in this constitution. So see, this clause is being made exclusive source. Nothing else in the constitution is to come in the way of this reservoir of values. So this clause in itself is being made a sovereign in itself. Nothing, notwithstanding anything in this constitution, even fundamental rights word chapter, or even the distribution of sovereignty in the legislature and judiciary and executive, it is being made specific, exclusive, authentic, fully expressed as that notwithstanding anything in this constitution. So this clause in itself becomes a complete constitution, a constitution within the constitution, core of the constitution, the source of the constitution. Therefore, we have to appreciate what precisely is being laid in this clause when it is said nothing, notwithstanding anything in this constitution. Over. Now, what is that? Parliament may, in exercise of its constituent power, amend by way of addition, variation, or repeal any provision of this constitution in accordance with the procedure laid down in this article. C. Parliament may, in exercise of its constituent power, then we have to put to ourselves that where constituent power is defined, what constituent power is, how this constituent power is different than the legislative power. So this constituent power, in fact, originally was in the people of India. We, the people of India, have given to ourselves this constitution. So we, the people of India, had the constituent power. We exercised that power. And then, as this clause is, it implies as that we, the people of India, have divested ourselves of this power and have vested in the parliament. Therefore, one shall think more and more about constituent power vis-a-vis the legislative power. Secondly, the fact whether the constituent power of the people can be divested for all times to come by one generation to have a binding effect upon all the subsequent generations. We, the people of India, in 1950 have adopted this constitution. We, the people of India of the year 1950, have taken as if we, the people of India of subsequent generations, will be subservient to our discretion. Therefore, the poser is, if at any time we, the people of India, collectively feel that we shall have a different constitution as the existing constitution has exhausted its functional values. So, whether that power that constituent power of the people of India is barred for all times to come, or this is an arrangement which is having inherently inbuilt in it as that the core of the values of the Constitution, as Honorable Supreme Court has interpreted, are beyond the amending power of the Parliament. So, this constituent power, as per the interpretation of the Supreme Court, is not an absolute, it is restricted, it is confined to the four corners of all that remains except the core of this constitution. So then the question arises, what is the core of this constitution, and whether this core is having inner folds or not? So if we pose to ourselves whether the innermost core of the constitution is having lively values of the constituent power of the people of India. So we, the people of India, are a setup of different layers of generations. So one generation cannot be taken as of such provisions for restricting the exercise of sovereignty by the coming generations. This power to amend, in fact, is a ventilation to the suffocation, is a small surgical operations to give outlet to the pains, strains, because of here and there distortions happening. But when the overall complete surgical operation will be needed, means when this body is requiring the transformation of a reach from present birth to rebirth. So when this constitution as a body will be having aged factor and will be requiring transformation to have a new body, whether that is inherently inbuilt here or not, the Honorable Supreme Court, while reaching at the core of the Constitution, being beyond the amending power of this Constitution, this inherently amounts to a recognition as that the original basic source of constituent power is with the people of India themselves. So the people of India collectively constitute the source of the innermost core of this very constitution. As such, we shall have our revisit about this constituent power, and then we see this very constitution, this under this very apparatus has caused amendment of this amendment clause itself as well. So how we can chase, how we can trace, how we can imbibe this flow of the powers. Therefore, our art and science of interpretation of the Constitution will be having a new chapter when it will come to the interpretation of the amendment clause of the Constitution itself. And here, in this very chapter of amendment of the Constitution, when we will be at the constituent power, and when we will take the constituent power as being the core value, and when we will be face to face with what is going to be the innermost core of this core, then certainly we will be having absolutely different set of values of the interpretation science. We as lawyers, we as students of law, we as research scholars shall devote our utmost attention to this feature of the art and science of interpretation of legislative provisions, Constitution, the amendment power of the Constitution, the core of the Constitution, and innermost core of the Constitution. Once we will be concentrating upon this aspect, once we will be absorbing this set of values, then certainly our own projection of the inherent values, inherent features, and inherent strength of the Constitution will be faced by us, and it is only by being face to face with these values of our Constitution that we will be having respectful obligations, appreciation of the members of our Constituent Assembly. The exercise done, the job performed, the responsibility discharged by our Constitution, Constituent Assembly is par excellence. And this excellent document with us is really an index of the sincerity which our forefathers had with them, and we also will be highly appreciative and obliged to our ancestors that they have pooled their experience and wisdom and have really marvelously projected what our needs would be, how the Constitution will have its desired flexibility to absorb all realistic situations through which the nation had to pass through. Despite all this, when we look at that we have to amend this Constitution more than 100 times, then this very fact, this very feature will again make us conscious that howsoever sincere we may be, we are certainly confined by the circumstances of the time in which we were existing when we reached at the Constitution. The second limitation which has to be appreciated is that when any thought, any virtue, any value is expressed in a grammarized language, then certainly the grammar and composition will show its inability to come up to the transcendental expectations of the thought. So, virtues, values, thoughts, when are to be put in words which will have a grammar for their meanings, the same is to be a challenge for us. Each generation is to appreciate these limitations before analyzing or criticizing the Constitution of India. I would like that we shall all first enlist the number of amendments we had. Then we shall also enlist the number of times the apex court had the opportunity to interpret this constitution. And then we also have to appreciate as to how difficult times there have been when the existing apparatus of our constitution was under so much stress that at some points of time, maybe for a fraction of a second, some or other, or once all the constitutional apparatus actually had come to a stop. Now, when we are visiting the values of this constitution, we have to confront ourselves as to how far the fundamental rights of ours, a sovereign chunk vested by us with ourselves only, is a fully blossomed basket at all, whether the fragrance of the basket of fundamental rights is as fresh as it was at the time of drafting, or whether the smell, odor, fragrance of these rights has absolutely diminished. Is it the dirty smell has started to come from these different baskets created by the Constitution? Whether or not we are ever conscious about it, and whether or not we are under an experiment that within next 50 years we have to replace this constitution by another constitution. How it will be done, who will do it, whether it will be permissible or not, whether it will be through a turmoil situation or will it be a smooth transition, it all depends upon how our next generation will react to and have its assessment of us and of our ancestors as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.